When the Legends Die, Chapter 17. He didn't starve out. The next night he took off his shirt and pants, put on his clout, his leggings, and his moccasins, took a blanket from his cot, and climbed out the window. He slid down a drain spout to the ground, forced his way into the kitchen, and took a butcher knife, a ball of strong cord, and 2-pound remnant of a pot roast. Then he started north, eating the meat as he traveled in the darkness. It was October. The valley cottonwoods had shed their leather leaves, and the aspens were in full gold. It was a mild autumn on the lowlands of the reservation, but the nights were already frosty in the mountains, and there were snow caps on the higher peaks. He had no trouble finding the way. He had been over it before, and he had lived in the old way, striking fire from a piece of flint and the butcher knife, killing spruce grouse with a club, snaring rabbits with the strong cord. He avoided the roads and traveled trails, and the second day he went around Piedra Town and on up the valley. He went to Horse Mountain, to the place where Blue Elk had forced him to send the bear away. He looked for Bear's sign, and he sang the bear's song. There was no sign, and there was no answer to his song. Then he went on, hurrying because the season was late. But he went to the foot of a granite peak on the way, and again he searched for Bear's sign. The only sign he found was one big grizzly, and he knew the cub would not be there, not with Grandfather Bear marking the whole area as his territory. He saw the claw marks high on a dozen pines. He went on to Bald Mountain. He was going home, back to his own lodge. Perhaps his brother the cub would be there. If not, it would return next spring after hibernation. If he did not find his brother now, he would find him later. Now he must go to his lodge, get things in order, make ready for winter. It was late, but he must do what he could. He went to Bald Mountain. He drank the stream where he had drunk many times, washed in the pool where so many mornings he had sung the song to a new day. He started up the path his own moccasins had helped to make. It was no longer a clear path. The bushes already were beginning to overgrow it. He watched for the jay, thought he saw it. He called to it, but it sat silent in a tall aspen watching him, then screamed and flew away. He watched for the squirrels and the chipmunks, called to them. The chipmunks chattered at him and ran and hid among the rocks. The squirrels scurried up the pines, peered at him from the high branches, scolded at his intrusion. He came to the last turn in the path, the place where he could see the lodge. He stopped and put a hand over to his mouth to stop the cry of pain. There was no lodge. Where the lodge had been was a charred place, a circle of ashes. Not a post or a beam remained. Nothing. He went to the charred circle and poked among the ashes. He found nothing there, not even a knife blade. And then he knew. It was no accident, no hidden coal that flared into hungry flames soon after he went away with Blue Elk that morning. Someone had come and taken everything, even the worn-down knife, even the battered cooking pot, and burned the lodge. He stood among the ashes and whispered his sorrow chant, not even saying it aloud. For small griefs you shout, for big griefs you whisper or say nothing. The big griefs must be borne alone, inside. When he had finished, he looked up the mountainside, thinking of his father and his mother. He did not climb to the cave among the rocks, for his father and his mother were not there. They had gone on the long journey many days, many moons ago. He looked up the mountainside for a long time. Then he went back down the overgrown path to the stream and made his camp there. He killed a spruce grouse and made a fire and ate. And that afternoon he sang his bear song. He sang it as loudly as he could sing. There was no answer. At dusk he sang it again. There was no answer. That night he thought of his footsteps in the path, which would be completely wiped out soon when the snow came. He thought of the lodge, now a circle of leaching ashes. He thought of the jay that had sat silent when he called to it. He thought of the chipmunks that had hid among the rocks, and the squirrels that fled and scolded. He thought of his brother, the bear. It was as though he had never been here. He was very tired. He put out his fire and slept. The next morning the clouds hung low over the mountain, and the valley was filled with mist as cold as sleep. He bathed at the pool, but he sang no song for a new day. He did not even whisper the sorrow song. There was no song in him, only a numbness, a nothing. He ate the rest of the grouse from the night before, and he put out his fire and scattered the ashes, removing all trace of his presence there. Then he folded the blanket and drew it around his shoulders and started back down the valley. There were spits of snow in the mist, and the dead leaves in the oak brush whispered of winter.